collector with his speech Turning Points. Turning Points by Dr. David Howard.
You know, I get a turning point right there. I wasn't sure when I walked up if I wanted to go to the left or to the right. And well, since Diana was going that way, I figured I would go ahead and walk that way towards her. That's the nature of turning points. And we all hit turning points. But what exactly is that? Well, a turning point is basically just a fork in the road for any reason. Anytime you hit a chance, an opportunity where there are two ways to go, that's a turning point. Now, there's not only two ways to go that we need to realize. There's also a third way. You can go left, you can go right, or you can just stand still. You know, and probably part of also standing still is if you turn around and run the other way. That's also a turning point that you've decided. So the hard part about turning points is actually recognizing them for what they are. You know, do I just make this easy decision and keep going? Or do I recognize that this might have an impact on my life? Especially some decisions that have terminal implications. So with turning points, I always recommend action over inaction. I always recommend that it's better to make a decision than no decision at all, even if you make the wrong decision. If you think about it while you're driving, if you're driving the car and you're stopped, and you need to go one way or the other, if you're stopped, can you really move anywhere? You know, can you correct your actions while you're stopped? No, you can't. You're stopped. You can't do anything. But if you're moving forward or even backwards, no matter how slow, you can still correct that action. So at that turning point, even if you made the wrong decision, you can even turn around and go back the other way and choose the other path. So that's why I always recommend, anytime you reach a turning point, make that decision for action over inaction. Myself, like most people, I recommend that you always have a plan. Always have a plan for just about anything. Now, what you'll find out, not everything fits into your plan, and as my wife and kids would attest, many of my plans don't include them or what they're going to do. And those things always surprise me, especially with kids, because you never know what kids are going to do. You know, you might have some big thing planned, the next thing you know, your kid's got to go to the bathroom, or already has. And there goes the plan. So that's why I recommend a general plan that you can fit your decisions into. Now, I'm sure everyone, especially those with kids or at work, has a fire escape plan. You know, a plan that if there's a fire that occurs, this is where the exits are. This is where the meeting point is at when we all get outside. And that way everybody's safe and everybody's accounted for. Now, if your fire escape plan says, go out your office or your bedroom, turn left, proceed to the nearest exit. What if that fire is right there when you turn left? Your plan doesn't account for that, does it? Well, actually, your plan also says proceed to the nearest exit. So if this one's blocked, you go the other way. And that's what I mean. Things aren't always going to go right on the specifics. But I'll recommend to always have a plan, always have something ready to help guide you. Myself, I like to use what I call a wheel of life. This is my general life plan. This is what I use to help my clients. And if you imagine a wheel or a pie with pieces of pie sectioned into it, into 7 pieces, this is what I call the wheel of life, the individual categories of life and living that we all fall into and that we need to balance out. Now, number one, you have spiritual. I'm a Christian, and I'm unapologetic about that I'm a Christian. But what I hate to find is people that have no idea of anything larger than themselves. So everybody needs to have a spiritual component. You need to believe in something larger than yourself, because if you're the be-all, end-all, then honestly, you're in trouble. And we're all in trouble if we follow that. The second one, the second piece of the pie would be social. You need to have friends. And you need to have friends more than the ones that are on Facebook that you don't really know. You need to have some real actual friends that you get together, have lunch with, show up at a meeting and have speeches with, but just some type of social interaction. A lot of people find this in church with family. You also need to have the piece of the pie for your career filled out with. You need to be in a career that you love. You know, something you enjoy going to, something that you don't dread going to on Monday morning. You know when the highest rate of suicide is for men? The highest rate of suicide for men is on Sunday evening, because they know what's coming in 12 hours. They don't want to wake up and go to work. So you need to have that piece of the pie filled out in something that you enjoy. So the career section. Now, there's also the physical section. As Dr. Dan would attest how important this is. Jack LaLanne, who Dr. Dan has used as a mentor for many years and spoken of here at Toastmasters, passed away, I believe, last night. 96 years old. 96 years old. And that is exactly what happens when you fill out that physical section. Because I tell you, that man could still bench press me at 96 years old and could run circles around me while I'm just huffing and puffing. That's what it means to have that section filled out. You know, that you're physically able to enjoy life. The next section that I use in the Wheel of Life is finances. And I'll be honest with you, I'll sum that one up pretty quick. If your finances are amiss, life is horrible. You just can't enjoy life if you're always worried about your finances, never have the finances to do anything, never able to help anybody with money. See, finances can just mess up everything. You also have leisure. Now, leisure is the one that a lot of people forget about. A lot of people will work so hard, or spend so much time with family, or spend so much time at church, and those are all good causes, but they'll forget their own leisure activities. They won't take vacations, or they'll work on vacation. They won't develop hobbies. I mean, some of us have some really awesome hobbies that we hear about in the speeches. So leisure is a very important part of that pie that we need to develop. And the last one, which personally in my family and some of my close friends, I know they really don't work on, is intellectual. The intellectual piece of that pie. I know a lot of people that don't work on that. Now, one thing about intellectual, two main ways I recommend you keep that piece of pie filled out is reading books and attending classes. Continuing education and reading, those are the two biggest ways to fill out that piece of the pie. It's said that most adults don't crack open a nonfiction book once they leave high school. It might take the average adult 5 years to finish a nonfiction book past high school when they're forced to read them. And that's pretty sad, really, because there are a lot of books that are purchased, and all these bookstores stay in business and make a lot of profit off of people that buy books and never read them. And never read the books they buy. And everybody has books at home. You know, so I always make sure I read a lot of books. I love reading, and I make time for that piece of the pie. And those are the 7 sections of the Wheel of Life. You know, that's what I use for my plan when I'm evaluating what I do in life. When I hit a turning point and I have to choose one way or the other. And here's the thing about that pie. You have to make sure that all the pieces are rounded out equally. Now, how far can you drive on a flat tire? Not very far. And we've seen those guys on the Cops television show. They'll try to drive for a ways. But eventually the car will stop because the tire is flat and the car can't go. That's what your Wheel of Life looks like if you're emphasizing some areas over others. Let's say you only emphasize work to the detriment of family and church and social. Well, you're riding through life on a flat tire. And you're not going to ride very far through life on a flat tire. Now, that's not to mean you can't ride on a low tire sometimes. We've all walked out to the car in the morning maybe and had a low tire and decided, well, I can make it to the gas station, or I can make it to somebody's house that has an air compressor, or I can make it to a service station. Now, that's what it means to have a low tire, is that you can still drive for a while, but not indefinitely. You know, so there may come a time when you've got a big project at work, when you're doing a prescribed burn with the forestry department, or anything that happens at work or family, something that takes precedence over everything else for a short time. So in life, in my plan, I can ride on a low tire for a while. You know, I can prepare for a speech, spend a lot of time on that, and not as much time playing Legos with my kids. Because I can ride on that low tire as long as I need to until I get back to filling out the air in the Wheel of Life. So that's what it means. That's my plan. Now, the general name for my plan, I call it the Art of Living. You know, that's my business, the Art of Living, because I want to emphasize not just life and not just being, but living, emphasizing the art of living. I want to read a quote to you that's on the back of my business card. Now, I didn't write this, so don't think I'm that profound. I want to read this quote to you. It's called A Master in the Art of Living. A master in the art of living draws no sharp distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence through whatever he is doing, and leaves others to determine whether he is working or playing. To himself, he always seems to be doing both. Enough for him that he does it well. Now, that's the art of living, and that's what my plan helps me achieve. So I encourage you, the next time you hit a turning point where you can choose right, left, forward, or backwards, don't stop. Just keep moving and keep looking at that wheel of life and make the right decisions that will keep that wheel balanced and full and keep you coasting through life as best as possible. Thank you.